Today I'm going on my first caravan holiday in over 25 years. Does that mean we can't drink the tap water? I'll deal with overpriced essentials, a lack of direction, I'm already lost, and an overstimulating arcade. As I spend the weekend at Haven Primrose Valley. Hello from Haven Primrose Valley here in Yorkshire. I'm stood inside a 2-bed silver caravan on what is my first caravan holiday in over 25 years. I'm a complete novice when it comes to caravan holidays in the 21st century. So I used to go on these holidays with my mum, my brother, my grandma and my auntie back when I was a young child. We went to Butlins, we went to Haven and all of those. But since then, I've never been on one. So the closest thing I've got to compare this holiday to is Center Parcs. Now, me and my wife, we did look at going to Center Parcs this weekend instead of coming here to Haven. But Center Parcs wanted more than double. So we said, you know what? We will try Haven instead. We've come here with our 2 boys. One has just turned 1 and the other is about to turn 4 years old. And you'll know if you've got young children, you want to go somewhere that you've been before because you've got a lot of confidence in it. But you know what? If you're not going to go anywhere new, you're not going to know what it's like. So I hope this video gives you a bit of insight into what a Haven holiday is like if you have never been on one before or you've never been on a caravan holiday before. Because I'm coming at this from a complete novice, again, only been to Center Parcs with the children. So we've no idea what Haven is like, certainly in 2025. But so far, we're very impressed. As I mentioned, we're here in our silver caravan. We only booked this yesterday. And as I mentioned, when we looked at Center Parcs, they wanted best part of £800. This caravan cost us just £355, and that includes our entertainment passes. It includes this 2-bed caravan as a silver grade. Silver is about the middle mark. You can go 2 caravan ranks higher, 2 caravan ranks lower. We were happy to pay $355 for this caravan. Now, don't get me wrong, I think with it being the second weekend in October, had you booked further in advance, you could have got this a lot cheaper. But again, it is what it is. We were happy to pay it. And so with that, let me give you a tour around this place and let's go out and explore everything that Haven has to offer over a weekend. So as you can see, we've already well unpacked here. We've been in the caravan for about an hour and a half, just unpacking and getting sorted. We've already made a huge mess. That's the problem with having young children. Anyway, over here, we've got the TV. There is a skybox down here. We can't seem to get it to work, but nevertheless, large TV and a large open plan seating area. You've got 2 sofas either side and then some seats down here in the middle. We've also got a separate table and chairs, which is really nice. And then going into the kitchen, you'll notice we've put our son's crib up, and that's because he can get to these. So he's already been messing about with the gas, he's pulled the door down the lot. So we've actually used this more as a barricade than absolutely anything else. Over here, we've got the sink area, microwave up here, hob, as I've already mentioned, and then round here, this is the fridge. It does come with some bottled water. Again, I've no idea. Does that mean we can't drink the tap water? We need to look into that. Down there, we've got the freezer. And over here, just by the door entrance, we've got the boiler. I will mention when we came into this caravan, the heating was already on. The caravan was already warm. It's not like when I was a kid and we used to come on these holidays and stay in as jumpers and as jackets until, you know, the first 8 hours had passed and the caravan had warmed up. It was already really, so much so, we've actually had to open the balcony doors just to let some air in because it's so warm. Coming down here then, you'll see that on the right, we've got our bathroom. I will say one thing I have noticed in here, this has the most damage, if you will. So around the mirror here, we've got a lot of wear. Over here, we've got some rust. And over here, we've got some rust. And obviously that's not nice, but it's also not dreadful. Like, I'm happy with it, even though it's damaged. I guess I didn't expect to come into a brand new polished caravan. I expected it to be rough around the edges. It's had people staying here previously. And I've definitely seen a lot worse than that, even in Center Parcs. So, yeah, I'm relatively happy. At the back of the caravan is the master bedroom, and after settling in, we were able to move the travel cot, which we'd brought from home, to the bottom of the bed here, leaving just enough space to get to either side. Something I didn't expect is that this master bedroom also has its very own ensuite. Now, don't get me wrong, it is just a toilet, but considering the size of the caravan, it's not something I expected. However, if you are maximising this caravan's capacity and coming here as a family or as a group of 6, then this additional toilet is going to be very welcomed indeed. So I think I might know why we've got an ensuite in as master bedroom, and that's because this is a 3-bed caravan and not a 2-bed caravan. Now, I have triple checked our booking. We did book and pay for a 2-bed caravan. I've triple checked the name on the door to make sure we're in the right caravan, and yes, we are. I think I know how this has happened. So we only booked and paid for this holiday yesterday. And when I was doing the booking, you can pay extra. It's like £35 to select which caravan you have on site within your classification, ours being silver. And when I went to do that, there was only one caravan available. This one, Lake Hill 22, I believe it's called. And obviously, I didn't pay. I went with random allocation, and this is the caravan we was allocated. That's a really good hack if you're booking last minute for anything like flight seats or caravans or lodges. Have a look if you're booking last minute at what's available, if you can select things. And if you're happy with those, that's probably the one you're going to get. Again, we was happy with that one. It was the only one available. So we went with the random allocation. That's the one we've been given. And it just so happens it is a 3-bed and not a 2-bed. We have only booked and paid for a 2-bed. So it seems that Haven has been happy to give us a 3-bed over a 2-bed for the sake of selling out this silver classification. And again, I do believe it's still a silver caravan. But that's only my experience. Like, I've not stayed at a Haven site in like 22 years, so I can't say based on other Haven caravan sites I've stayed at. I am only going on the photos that I've seen on the Haven website and from other people's accounts about this caravan when I was researching it as to what a silver caravan should look like and should have, and certainly this one matches that criteria. So I don't think we've changed classifications. We've just got one extra bedroom. And that might explain why there's an ensuite or an extra toilet in our bedroom. Again, I can't say for certainty if you had a 2-bedroom caravan as a silver that wouldn't be there. It's just I want to make sure you're aware of that. And I think it's quite nice that it's good to know, although again, it's no guarantee, that if you book a 2-bed, you may be given a 3-bed if there's no 2 beds in your classification available and you've booked last minute, because again, it will go on availability. One thing I will say is these single rooms are very, very small. There's another bed on here on this side. I'm on 0.5 zoom. You can barely fit this room in frame. It is so tight. The beds are also very small. So they're single beds, but they're a small single. For reference, I am 5'2", and this is what I look like in the bed. There is not much width either side of me. My feet are pretty much touching the wardrobe at the end there. The beds are really, really comfortable. White bedding, linen is included, no additional cost for linen. Everything feels nice, everything looks nice, everything's clean, but they are very, very small. So if you are planning any adults staying in here, just be aware of that and get here early to Bagsy, the master bedroom. Just walking now to meet Helen and the boys, and I'm already lost. I'm walking through caravans trying to find. It's really well signposted, but once you get in with the caravans, and this site is so huge, everything kind of looks the same. I ended up meeting up with Helen at the main entertainment complex where we grabbed dinner at the on-site Wetherspoons. Now this is the largest restaurant at Primrose Valley, and the prices here are roughly 30% higher than what you'd find at a typical Wetherspoons. Then we went to hit the mini disco. Both boys absolutely loved this. Oliver, the eldest, was able to follow along with the storyline of the show, and Patrick, the youngest, was more than happy to just dance around. Now there's around 90 minutes of this early evening entertainment on every single night at Primrose Valley, but just to try and keep the boys in a good sleep routine after what had already been a long day, meant that we headed back to our caravan after about 30 minutes. Good morning, welcome to our first full day here here at Haven Primrose Valley. We had a fantastic night last night, really good. The boys woke up at their usual time, sort of 6:30, 7 a.m. and now we're walking to our first activity. We've got the boys booked in on quite a few activities while we're here. One thing we've noticed is the activities here are so much cheaper than Center Parcs, and most notably Patrick, who's only 1 year old, he can do many of the things that Oliver is also able to do. We've again noticed at Center Parcs that children under the age of 2 have a very limited range of activities available. So it's nice to be able to get both boys involved in all of the activities. The first one being Ranger Tots, which was just £3 each. So we're heading to the sort of entertainment complex that we need to go to for that activity. We're navigating there using the map, which is available on the Haven mobile app. And this starts at 9 a.m. So if, like us, you're up early and you want the kids out doing something because there's only so long they can spend in a confined space, then this is perfect. Ranger Tots was a huge hit and actually ended up being the best activity we booked for Patrick, the 1 year old. Now the setup here was similar to a stay and play. It featured sensory tough trays, search and find, as well as gluing and sticking activities. Now our second booked activity was just an hour later, so we chose to go across to the lake house for a drink and a donut. Unfortunately, we didn't have the chance to have a proper meal here, but I have heard great things, so we'd love to try it again in the future. The second activity was the Halloween trail. This wasn't very Halloween themed aside from a couple of decorations, but it did have a very knowledgeable guide that was able to share her in-depth knowledge about plants and animals, which our eldest son Oliver just adored. If you like the concept of Forest School, you're gonna absolutely love this activity. We're back in the caravan, just relaxing actually, just taking a moment. After what has been a fun-filled, action-packed morning, we've honestly not stopped. Me and Helen are here on the sofa. Oliver is having some time watching his iPad. He's got a little feed on. And just outside we've got Patrick, who fell asleep on the walk back to the caravan. So he's just outside there, wrapped up in the pushchair. We've got a couple of hours before our evening activity at 4 o'clock. I say evening activity, late afternoon activity, 4 o'clock. Probably going to lead then into dinner and then go to the mini disco. We'll see how that plan goes, but that's the rough plan we're looking at right now. And I think we've planned the day perfectly. A lot of activities in the morning, kind of a late lunchtime break, and then some activities in the afternoon. But right now, yeah, the morning has just absolutely worn us all out. I think we're all well overdue a rest, right? Yeah. After a lunchtime break, it was back to the ranger station, this time for bug hunt, which actually ended up being Oliver's favourite activity of the trip. Then we headed back across to the other entertainment complex for Slim Chickens for dinner. Now this was the first time we tried this American chain which serves fried chicken, and we were thoroughly impressed. From there we headed into our final mini disco. Again, both of the boys absolutely loved this, and it actually became one of the biggest highlights for us as a family on this trip. Good morning, welcome to our third and final day here at Haven Primrose Valley. Now it is Sunday, and with a weekend break you don't have to check out until Monday, but Oliver has some hospital appointments tomorrow morning, so it's just easier if we go home today. We're going to go home this afternoon, but I just wanted to show you something that it's the only fault I could have with this whole holiday, and if this is the only fault then so be it. But I do think it's worth mentioning because it is a little bit disappointing, and it's this rubbish right here. 2 bags of linen and a bed rail. They have been there since the day we checked in. Now, don't get me wrong, we checked in early. We weren't supposed to check in from between 4 and 5, but as green sticker was on early, so they said we could enter early. So that day I figured, oh, maybe somebody will come and like remove it. But nobody did. It's now been 48 hours and still it's there. And if it was food with the animals and stuff, that's got to be a hazard. And like, if I was the next person to have that bed rail, knowing it had been out, it's been damp on, like, it is damp on a morning. So I would be a little bit disappointed. There has been maintenance trucks drive up and down here. So even if it's not their job to take it, I thought they'd at least like ring it in. So I don't actually know who to contact, nor have we had a minute to like contact somebody about it. But yeah, that's the only bit of disappointment. Now, as mentioned, it is damp on a morning, but the weather has been absolutely fantastic, and that's really made this holiday even better. And it's very important this morning because I believe our first activity is actually outdoors. We booked both boys onto Wild Wizards, which included making a potion out of different materials and carving a wand from a stick. However, it was only really suitable for Oliver, so much so he actually burnt himself out and napped through the entire second activity we had booked, sand art, which left Patrick to do this solo, although if I'm honest, he actually spent more time being distracted by the arcades and people going in and out of the swimming pool area. Just got back to the caravan. It's about lunchtime. Both boys are settled, having a couple of snacks. Me and Helen have just said we'll sort ourselves out with lunch a bit later and just, I think we'll feel a lot better and a lot more relaxed if the car is somewhat packed and we know where we are. Are you okay? We know where we are with everything when it comes to packing and everything like that, and just getting sorted as to the time we have available sort of after packing and before we need to leave. All good? Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely. Our last activity of the day is down on the beach, so Helen is walking down with the boys and I'm driving down, and then you've got to drop the keys off down there if you're going to do early checkout. So rather than us walking back up and repack, it just takes so much longer. I'm driving down, I'm going to park down at reception. Helen's walking down with the boys and we're going to do that last activity down on the beach, get them as tired out as possible, ready for the drive home. And yeah, it feels like a really nice way to finish the trip. I dropped off the keys and looked at getting me and Helen a quick pizza to share for lunch/dinner, but on site Papa John's didn't open until 4 p.m, so instead I ended up in the shop. We waited at reception for the guide for our final activity, but unfortunately after speaking to staff and standing and waiting with the other parents for over 30 minutes, the guide never showed. This was a free activity, so no money involved, but since we'd already told the boys we were going down to the beach, they were left disappointed, and since we'd waited so long for the guide to show up, it was actually too late for us to then go down to the beach, so instead we compromised with a quick trip to the arcades. That's it, that's a wrap on our Haven holiday, the first caravan park in 25 years, and I have to say I have been so incredibly impressed. Me and my wife Helen, we've already discussed about going back again in the future, because I think for the price you're paying, you've got to think like there are various budgets available here, because there's various different caravan specifications available. Depending on the time of year you go, you can get the caravan we stayed in for like under £100 if you're willing to go like during term time, Monday to Friday. So I do think for the price you're paying, the quality of the accommodation and the services is fantastic, and the amount that you're able to do, especially in our case with the younger kids, has been just amazing. So yeah, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it valuable. Please do hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one, and yeah, just thank you guys so much for watching.